Let us now look at access control files. Most of the access control files in Linux are stored under the /etc directory. This directory can be read by any user by default, but only the root user has access to write to it. The access control files are also designed in a way that they should never be modified using a text editor. Instead, use the built-in commands to add or modify access as needed. We will see how to do that in the next lecture. For now, let us look at the basic access control files in Linux. The first one of interest is the /etc/password file, which is also commonly known as just the password file. We have already seen that this file contains basic information about the users in the system, including the username, UID, GID, home directory, and their default shell. It is important to note that this file does not save any passwords. The passwords are stored in another file, located at /etc/shadow. The contents of this file are hashed. The /etc/group file stores information about all user groups on the system, such as the group name and GID, and members. Let us now look at these access control files in a bit more detail. In these files, each line represents information about a particular user or a group. These lines have multiple fields that are delimited by a colon. For the password file, the fields separated are username, password, UID, GID, geckos, the home directory of the user, and the shell. Username is self-explanatory and a mandatory field. This is also the login name. The password field is X because it is located in the /etc/shadow file. Next are the UID and GIDs for the user. These two fields are mandatory as well. Geckos is a CSV format or a comma-separated list of user information such as full name, location, phone number, etc. This is optional and can be blank. The home directory is the path to the user's home directory. And finally, the last field is the default shell for the user, which in the case of Bob is the bash shell. Now let us look at the /etc/shadow file. The fields of the file are separated by a colon. Reading from left to right, the fields are username, which is the same as the one used in the password file, password, which is the field containing the encrypted password. An asterisk or empty field implies the password was never set for this user. The next field is the last changed, which is the date since the password was last changed. This value is in epoch, which is a Unix timestamp described as the number of days that have elapsed since midnight, January 1st, 1970. The next two fields are the minimum and maximum age. These describe the minimum number of days the user will have to wait before being allowed to change the password again, and the maximum number of days before which the user will have to change the password. The next field is the number of days before a password is going to expire, that the user should be warned so that they can change the password. The field inactive is the number of days after a password has expired that it should still be accepted before being disabled. This is empty in this example, which means it is not enforced. The last field is the expiry date of the password. This is again in epoch and is the date when the account will be expired. This field is empty, which implies the account will never expire. The last access control file we will take a look at is the /etc/group file. Just like the other access control files, the fields are delimited by a colon. This file stores basic information about the groups on the system. It is sometimes called the group file. The first field is the name of the group, followed by the password, which is normally set to X, indicating that this is saved in the shadow file, the same as the password file. Next is the GID of the group, and the last field contains the members of the group, which can be comma separated.